Level 1. Baby Magic. Level 1 is the essential spells that teach control, focus, and the basic relationship between a witch or wizard and their wand. These aren't combat spells, nor are they designed for high-stakes situations. They are the foundation every higher-level spell rests on. One of such spells is Lumos, the illumination charm every Hogwarts student learns almost immediately. It's the spell Harry, Ron, and Hermione rely on repeatedly throughout their first year, whether navigating the third-floor corridor or moving quietly through the castle after hours. Its counterpart, Nox, extinguishes the light on command. Together they form a simple but necessary introduction to precision wand work. Alohomora, the unlocking charm, belongs to this category as well. Hermione uses it during Philosopher's Stone to open the forbidden door leading to Fluffy. Another level 1 spell is Reparo, which is used to fix broken objects. In the Philosopher's Stone, Hermione uses Oculus Reparo on the train to fix Harry's glasses. More subtle level 1 spells include Scourgify, used for cleaning, and basic household charms. Tonks demonstrates it in the Order of the Phoenix while helping clean Grimmauld Place, showing how magic integrates into everyday life beyond classrooms and battles. The premier conceptual pillar of level 1 is Transfiguration. McGonagall's first lesson sets the tone when she transforms her desk into a pick. Students begin with the smallest forms, like transforming matchsticks to needles, but the discipline required becomes a lifelong foundation. And then there's Wingardium Leviosa, the levitation charm. Despite its simplicity, the spell introduces deeper skills: balance, direction, mental focus, and the coordination between wand movement and intention. Additional early defensive and utility charms, such as Colloportus for sealing doors, and harmless jinxes like Ricta Sempra also fall in this tier. Level 2. Survival tier. Now, spells at this level aren't decorative or academic. These spells often appear during emergencies, duels, or moments where characters need immediate solutions. A major example is Accio, the summoning charm. Its significance becomes clear during the Triwizard Tournament, when Harry summons his Firebolt to escape the Hungarian Horntail. The distance, urgency, and danger highlight how versatile and decisive Accio becomes in the wizarding world. It retrieves objects, disrupts opponents, and enables escape when mobility becomes life or death. Opposing it is Depulso, the banishing charm. While Accio draws objects toward the caster, Depulso forces them away with equal control. In combat, these two spells form a foundational push and pull dynamic that reappears throughout dueling history. Elemental Conjuration enters the tier with Aguamenti, capable of producing water for everyday use or for extinguishing flames. Harry uses it in Half-Blood Prince to combat the burning of Hagrid's hut. Disruption-based spells define the next portion of the tier. Finite Incantatem cancels active spells, wards, and minor enchantments, giving duelists and students a way to stabilize rapidly escalating situations. Paired with Ridiculous, which is used in Lupin's class to neutralize boggarts by transforming fear itself, these spells highlight the importance of psychological stability in magic. There's also healing spells like Episci. Tonks uses it to heal Harry's broken nose. While this spell isn't that powerful, it buys time until more advanced medical care is available. The level also introduces stealth and secrecy. Muffliato, invented by Snape, fills the ears of nearby individuals with a low buzzing sound, allowing conversations or planning to happen without detection. Restraint magic appears here as well. Petrificus Totalis, the full body bind curse, locks a target in complete paralysis. Hermione's use of it on Neville during Philosopher's Stone remains one of the clearest demonstrations of its effectiveness. Level 2 also carries one of the most emotionally significant spells in the series, Obliviate. Lockhart mishandles it repeatedly, but Hermione uses it with heartbreaking precision when erasing her parents' memories for their safety. Level 3. Combat Magic. This is the point where magic transitions fully into combat. These are the spells that shaped both wizarding wars, appearing in nearly every battle, ambush, and defense. They form the core arsenal of trained duelists, auras, Death Eaters, and resistance groups. The foundation of level 2 spells lie in Expelliarmus and Stupefy. Expelliarmus, the disarming charm, is more than a defensive tactic. It removes an enemy's ability to fight. Harry uses it repeatedly, from the graveyard duel in Goblet of Fire to the final confrontation with Voldemort. Its consistency in high-tension moments proves its practical superiority over flashier spells. Stupefy, the stunning spell, incapacitates opponents with a single hit. During the Department of Mysteries battle, red bolts from DA members and Death Eaters filled the air, turning the Hall of Prophecies into a chaotic arena. Stupefy is the core, non-lethal offensive spell in the wizarding world. Defensive structure advances here through Protego, the shield charm. Hermione uses it in the Battle of Hogwarts to block curses and absorb impacts within overwhelming chaos. Variants like Protego Horribilis expand its potency, forming barriers capable of resisting more advanced threats. Destruction and terrain manipulation also fall under the tier with Reducto, the blasting curse. Ginny uses it in the Ministry of Magic to shatter solid shelves and force enemies out of cover. Tempo control appears through Impedimenta, which slows or halts targets in motion. Harry relied on it during the Triwizard Maze, using it to freeze both creatures and competitors. Even a momentary hesitation can decide a duel. The Marauder-era spells invented by Snape come into play as well. Levicorpus suspends a target upside down by an invisible force, and Liberacorpus releases them. While not lethal, these spells manipulate positioning, disrupt footing, and create openings. Level 3 spells require sequence, timing, and composure. Protego for defense, Impedimenta to disrupt, Reducto to remove cover, and Stupefy to end the exchange. Level 4, wordless magic. At this point, magic stops announcing itself. No spoken incantations, no wand movements telegraphed in advance, just intent, precision, and a kind of discipline only highly trained witches and wizards can maintain. The shift begins in 6th year, when Snape takes over defense against the dark arts. His lessons force students to attempt wordless casting, a skill that immediately separates casual spellcasters from true duelists. Most students struggle. Only a handful manage to cast even simple spells without speaking. But the ones who do experience something important, the freedom to cast without warning. During the First Wizarding War, and again in the Second, entire battles were fought in complete quiet. Auras and Death Eaters exchanged volleys of curses so quickly that no one could track what was being cast. In the Department of Mysteries, Sirius Black fell in a duel where the curse that struck him wasn't even identified. This is also the level where combat reaches its most fluid form. Take Snape's confrontation with McGonagall, Flitwick, and Sprout in Deathly Hallows. Spells were exchanged without a single spoken word, their movements sharp, economical, and dangerously fast. But the pinnacle of level 4 appears in the Atrium duel between Dumbledore and Voldemort. Neither wizard relied on spoken magic. Their spells manifested instantly. Glass transmuted into daggers, fire coiled into serpents, water rose into crushing spheres. Nothing about that duel resembled standard spellcasting. The mind arts also fall into this silent domain. Legilimency and occlumency can be performed completely wordlessly, which is why Voldemort's mental intrusions are nearly impossible to detect, and why Snape's resistance remains impenetrable. Battles of the mind, fought without sound. Level 5, Nightmare tier. At this point, there's no more restraint. These are not spells created for utility or defense. They were designed to break enemies, dominate them, or end them entirely. The ethics of spellcasting collapse here, replaced by raw intent. At the core stand the unforgivable curses. Imperious, the mind control curse, strips victims of free will. Under its influence, they obey any command without resistance. It became one of the darkest tools of the Death Eaters, and the Ministry itself resorted to using it during wartime. Cruciatus, the torture curse, overwhelms the nervous system with pain so severe it can permanently scar the mind. Unlike other spells, Cruciatus demands emotional intent. The caster must genuinely wish to inflict suffering. Harry learned this in Order of the Phoenix when his attempt against Bellatrix failed because he lacked the necessary hatred. And then there is Avada Kedavra, the killing curse. No counter-curse exists. No shield blocks it. It is pure lethal force. Voldemort used it relentlessly throughout both wars, and its green flash became the defining symbol of his reign. Outside the Unforgivables, the tier expands into destructive dark magic. Snape's Sector Sempra creates deep, uncontrolled lacerations, as if slashed by invisible blades. The countercurse is rare and difficult, making the spell exceptionally dangerous in untrained hands. Earlier centuries saw even more brutal spells, such as the Entrail Expelling Curse, used in medieval wizarding duels. Grindelwald's magic also sits firmly in level 5. His Protego Diabolica, a colossal ring of cursed fire, killed anyone the flames deemed an enemy while shielding his followers. Level 6, the Ancient and Sacred Magic. These are spells so old and foundational that they draw on the essence of life, the bond of family, or the will of a collective. They shape destinies rather than moments. The darkest example is Horcrux creation, an act so forbidden that no book explains the process. It requires murder to tear the soul and then a spell to bind that fragment into an object. Voldemort split his soul into numerous Horcruxes: a diary, a locket, a ring, a cup, a diadem, and the living vessel Nagini. Their destruction demanded extraordinary forces, like basilisk venom and fiend fire, demonstrating how irreversible the magic truly is. Then there are binding oaths, such as the unbreakable vow. When two people clasp hands and a bonder seals the promise with fire, the vow becomes law, and breaking it results in instant death. Snape entered such a vow with Narcissa Malfoy, a decision that shaped the entire trajectory of the final war. Level 6 also includes elemental curses like fiend fire. Unlike ordinary fire, this living inferno forms monstrous shapes like serpents, creatures, waves of flame consuming everything in its path. Crabbe lost control of it in the Room of Requirement, and the fire devoured him along with one of Voldemort's Horcruxes. Even skilled dark wizards fear fiendfire because its power often exceeds the caster's control. But level 6 magic is not purely destructive. At its heart lies one of the most revered spells ever created, Expecto Patronum. The Patronus charm requires the caster to summon a memory of absolute, genuine happiness. Few wizards can produce even a non-corporeal Patronus. A fully formed one, like Harry's stag, is a rare achievement. At 13, Harry mastered a spell most adults never could. Patronuses repel Dementors because they are manifestations of one's strongest emotions, taking shape as guardians of hope. Level 6 encompasses protective enchantments on a grand scale. During the Battle of Hogwarts, professors cast Protego Maxima, Fianto Duri, and Repello Inimicum, weaving them into a network of magical defenses that temporarily turned the castle into a fortress. Level 7. God-tier magic. At this point, magic isn't about skill anymore. It's not about speed or precision or even magical knowledge. At this tier, magic stops behaving like something a wizard uses and starts acting like something that speaks back. It responds to loyalty, intention, sacrifice, destiny, and laws older than wand lore itself. The rarest spells and phenomena in the series belong here, not because they are powerful in the traditional sense, but because they break the rules that every other spell in the wizarding world obeys. The clearest example occurs during the Battle of the Seven Potters. Harry is unconscious, defenseless, unable to lift his wand. Voldemort corners him mid-air, and then something impossible happens. Harry's wand reacts on its own. It casts a jet of golden fire so intense it shatters Lucius Malfoy's borrowed wand in Voldemort's hand. This is magic acting unilaterally, driven by loyalty tied to the brother wand connection between Harry and Voldemort. Another moment that defines level 7 is Priori Incantatum in the Graveyard Duel. When Voldemort and Harry's twin-core wands connect, the spell forces Voldemort's wand to regurgitate the echoes of the last people it killed, like Cedric, Bertha Jorkins, Frank Bryce, and finally James and Lily. They appear not as illusions, but as conscious echoes capable of speech, comfort, and guidance. This wasn't simple spell reversal. It was a collision between wand lore, blood magic, and destiny. A convergence so rare, Ollivander hinted it might never occur again. Dumbledore's elemental mastery also belongs here. In the cave containing the Inferi, he unleashes a ring of fire that expands outward in perfect control, shielding Harry while driving back thousands of undead bodies. This wasn't fiend fire that is wild, dark, and barely controllable. Dumbledore's firestorm responded to every movement of his wand like a living guardian. But level 7 isn't limited to displays of power. Some of its strongest examples aren't spells at all, but magical laws that activate through emotion, choice, and sacrifice. Lily Potter's protection is one of the earliest and strongest. By sacrificing herself for Harry, she created a barrier of old magic that deflected Avada Kedavra, something no spell in the wizarding world can do. That protection later anchored itself in Petunia's bloodline, allowing Dumbledore to extend the enchantment across Privet Drive for years. Harry himself performs the second great sacrifice in Deathly Hallows. When he willingly walks into Voldemort's curse with no defense, he recreates the same ancient magic Lily used. His acceptance of death shields everyone fighting for him at Hogwarts. Spells that once killed now rebound or weaken. Level 7 also includes the creation of entirely new magic. Snape's spells, Sectum Sempra, Levicorpus, Muffliato, didn't just function, They spread across Hogwarts and into battlefields, becoming part of the living world of Harry Potter. Spell invention is rare and extraordinarily complex, requiring an understanding of magical structure most wizards never achieve. On the opposite end, Voldemort's self-made dark magic, his Horcrux network, his enchantments on the locket and diadem, his protections around the ring, all show the same principle. Creation at this level doesn't produce spells, it produces structures inside magic itself. Level 7 isn't about casting stronger or faster spells, it's about magic that intertwines with destiny, sacrifice, life, death, and the fundamental laws of the world. These phenomena don't repeat, they don't get mastered, they happen in moments that shape the course of history.